Hello, Internet. My name is Aloria, and I read books, and I put them on a bingo board, and the amount of bingos I have at the end of the month is the amount of books I can buy the next month. And this is my first week of November. I already did it for October. I hope you saw those and enjoyed those. If you enjoyed this video, go back and watch those. If you haven't, I first want to pull up the November bingo board because it is a new month and I just want to take a look at it. A lot of the things are the same. I kind of put in a bunch of topics in a database and let it spit out things. So there's a lot of the same themes. I didn't necessarily get them last month. The main reason I want to take a look at that before I go through any of the books is I do want to point out this top row. One of the reasons why I wanted to do a book bingo was because I wanted to expand my horizons, and some of the things in my horizon expanding list was, in fact, memoir, nonfictions, historical fictions, and older books, and those just so happen to all be in one row. And so it's almost like a challenge just taunting me. So I am going to make an effort to try to get the top row. Other than that, I will just kind of mostly mood read. So I'll just mood read and see if any of the books fit. And then as we get further in the month, I'm more likely to pick books just to see if I can complete a bingo. But I do have a goal of finishing that top row. I say that, but the beginning of this week I only read 2 books, and neither of them are any of those top row ones. The first book I read was Daughter of a Siren Queen. This is actually the sequel to a book I read in October, Daughter of a Pirate King. Let's see who the author is. By Tricia Levenseller. In the first book, our main character, Analosa, I think I remembered that correctly. She is the daughter of a pirate king. She got herself captured by an opposing pirate crew so she can find one of the pieces of the map to the Isle of Sirens, or it's called the Isle of something else, but basically it's where the sirens live and it's where they collect all their treasures. So lots of gold. And so that was the first book. There was this hot first mate guy that she kind of liked, and then in the second book she has brought him on her crew, and they get the last of the map pieces, and then they are off on their way to get the treasure from the Isle. So it's like that process, getting the last piece and then going to the Isle and all that fun stuff. And she faces some maybe deep-seated daddy issues, stuff like that. And it was much like the first book. Short read, cute, fun, 3.5. No problem with the couple. Writer, the hot first mate guy, he does some good boundary setting, so yay. Yeah, we support healthy relationships. I don't know if I want to call it healthy, but it wasn't unhealthy, so. Anyway, so I gave that one the same 3.5 stars. Fun little read. And then the second book I read was actually another part of a series that I started in October, and that was The Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin. This is book 3 of the Broken Earth series, I think it's called. The first book is the 5th season. So in the first book, it starts with the end of the world, and then it kind of follows this main character. It has some other point of view characters, but this main character, as they kind of try to survive the end of the world, figure that out, all that good stuff. Of the trilogy, I would honestly say the first book was a lot about establishing the world, the magic system, and the characters, kind of like the what happened. And then the second book, in my opinion, kind of delves more into the why. We learn why the world was broken and like the conflict, the big world conflict that led to that decision being made. And then the third book is really just the resolution of how to resolve the actual main conflict, which isn't actually the end of the world. That is just a byproduct of what the main conflict actually is. And I thought it was a good ending to the series. I was not disappointed. It felt satisfying. That's a big requirement for me. So yeah, I gave this one 4.5 stars. The first one I gave 4.5. The second one I gave 5. I do think I maybe was slightly less into this one. The secondary point of view, I was less intrigued by. It was very informational, but I was less into it. So I think that's probably why. Yeah, so there it is, the end of that series. And then for the bingo board, I didn't put either of them on yet. So for the first one, Daughter of a Siren Queen, I am probably going to put that in a non-human main character. Technically, this was available to me And with the first book, I didn't put it on there because I didn't know if it was I thought it might be considered a spoiler that she was part siren, but the second book literally says daughter of a siren queen. I guess that could have been a metaphorical. Haha, it's not. She actually is part siren, so she's not quite human, so we can stick that one on there. And then for the Stone Sky, I guess because it's a fairly recent read, and definitely not a retelling. No numbers. I guess the last one I have is last in the series, so we'll just stick on that one right there. Yeah, so that was just it for this week. I know it was only 2 books. I typically read. In October, I was reading about 3 books a week. This week was definitely a slower week for me, but I still hope to get some bingos done. And as I said, I'm going to have a secondary goal of completing that top row. And yeah, that's it for today. I hope you join me for the rest of this month.